Okay, the day is Thursday, April 23, 2026. It is evening time, after 10 o'clock. I'll say it, it's 10:22 p.m. This would be a very easygoing and fun, yet professional, certified hypnosis to experience the heavenly realm, the nirvana, the Shambhala, the all the different names in the world for heaven, all the different names in the world for the God space, where God is good, God, there's positivity, and so on. Every person's going to come from a different background, and this is an introduction first to this quick, well, I don't know how quick, but fun hypnosis. Each person's going to come from a different background. It's more than fun, I think, as well, but fun helps a lot to not take it too seriously, because that's one of the things I used to trip up on, was taking hypnosis too seriously and expecting literal results and being bothered because you see things online about claims to do this or to do that, and the problem with that is that if you were looking for a very real past life experience, there's a really humbling disclaimer, for example, they're never going to tell you, and that is that before you learn to ride a bicycle, a lot of people will use training wheels. And likewise with a past life hypnosis, unlike a bicycle, the training wheels last a lot longer, and most people never get past the training wheels. I think that's the very humbling disclaimer a lot of people don't want to hear. And I've tried to essentially develop my own original modality based on the certification I got, and also, the certifications I got, actually. I trained with Elena Gabor, and I really think she's an excellent hypnotherapist and really excellent study, and highly rated and she's one of the best people for this work. Now, importantly, I'm not here to be a critic of hers. I simply try to speak from my own experience, my own neurodiversity, my own way of perceiving and feeling, and so there's no criticism here whatsoever about her style and her approach. In fact, alternatively, I actually base my style on her style, but I'm trying to be more alternative and have my own modality so that people can really appreciate what I have to offer as well, and I'm not simply parroting what she's taught me, but I'm actually doing my own individual crafted style. So what I like to do is bring up the big challenge of the training wheels. That this is my original modality that I'm developing, one of a number, and so when it comes to visiting the heavenly realm, this is one of the things that I really liked about her style, is that you get to go between lives, or after a lifetime, where do you go from there? And I really like this concept because it allows you to experience perspective from that vantage point of having passed on from a lifetime and getting into the, excuse me, I paused it, my sneeze is pretty loud there. You get to see a vantage point from the other side, where you've passed on and you're between lives, basically. That is the approach. However, with me, what I like to do is use these big, special training wheels. And to me, this means a lot. And if you hear me out, you might really realize and appreciate why training wheels can be so special. My special training wheels. So the idea is this. This is my original approach here with this. So as it comes to understanding the heavenly realm, going there, and understanding your place in the universe from that vantage point, and understanding your problems from that vantage point, kind of like an NDE, a near-death experience, when people have these interactions with Source, with God, with angels, and so on. On certain videos I've seen online, some people have extraordinary stories, and I mean, these are incredible stories. Absolutely blow your mind, amazing stories. There was a woman, she didn't even have an NDE. She simply was asleep in her bed, not asleep, excuse me. She was in her bed, and I believe it was on the channel Touching the Afterlife. But she had one of the most amazing stories, and I'll always recollect this story because it's one of the most amazing ones. She had a feeling when she was in her bed that something was coming to visit her. And this feeling, she could feel it like getting closer and closer or something. I mean, it was a really cool experience. And she had an all-out encounter with God, and she was in a very tough time in her life. And this was very relatable to me, because at one point it was very tough in my life, in the mid-2000s, so before 2010, mid-2000s. I did not have an in-depth NDE type experience, but I was at a tough spot in one point, and it was not from a physical accident. It was simply because emotionally, interpersonally, there was a lot going on, and I was actually having trouble. And funny enough, one of the funny little miracles of this trouble was I had trouble eating. I wouldn't eat, and I didn't go into all-out, bulimia or something like that. It wasn't like that. But I was essentially fasting, and I didn't even know I was fasting, because I would go through a little bit of this, and then I would get weak, and I was getting weak. Now, this was a little different from ordinary fasting, but I was getting the trembles, I suppose. I guess that is a symptom in fasting. But I was feeling weak, I was having the trembles, and it was not that specific day, because I know that when this happened, I wasn't really hungry, but I did have an experience that I can only describe as a white light experience. And it was not an experience where I started to experience things beyond that. it was simply a moment in time where I was like, man, that was too close for comfort. It's kind of how I felt afterwards, but I also had other reflections about what led to what, led to what, led to what, as to how I even got to that point in the first place. It was an intimidating kind of experience where I was left thinking, I do not want that to happen again. You know, like I don't want to go back to this point again, because this made me feel too close for comfort to not being around anymore, I guess. It was an intimidating moment in time for me. It was foreboding and intimidating. That's how I felt about it. But I also felt like it was some kind of warning sign to me, or sign to me that things needed to change in terms of who I was dealing with. And one day, you know, in an autobiography or something, I could definitely get more into that, but that's a big, long story. But that does have relevance for the topic I'm talking about here, which is, well, for a lot of people, they experience the heavenly realm or an encounter with God, or they go between a hell space and a heaven space. They have a rescue with Jesus, or they have various things happen to them depending on their religious background. Touching the Afterlife is a very Christian-aligned near-death experience channel, is my personal review of it. But I would very much think that if you were, let's say, if you had a really positive relationship with your religious background and it was not Christian, a number of people might encounter one of their heroes of faith and religion, whatever background that would be. You might have an incredible encounter with certain symbols and signs of Jewish religion, or the mystical side of Judaism and the Kabbalistic mysticism. Or you might have something to do with, this is a good one. If you come from a Chinese background, or a Middle Kingdom background is the exact translation for Zhonggol, which is China in the Mandarin, but Middle Kingdom. I think that's a cool term, Middle Kingdom. So you might have encounters with the old great masters of China. If you have a near-death experience in China, like you might see Confucius, or you might see Buddha, or you might see certain characters from that background. You might, it depends on how much conviction you have. If you have any doubts in your mind, I imagine you might be inclined to see things from the vantage points of your doubts. But if you have a great and deep conviction that Buddha was on the right path, and he was higher up in rank in the depths of your soul, and you really believed it, I have a feeling you might have a very positive experience encountering Buddha and some of his closest followers on the other side. You know, so there's all kinds of ways that you would experience the heavenly space. If you have a folk European mindset, like you follow the kind of the pagan, I don't like the word pagan. If you follow a kind of like, I like to say folk kind of spirit mindset. So if you're following, if you worship Epona is this horse deity, I believe, from French mythology. And so I just chose Epona because it's kind of funny. It's kind of like choosing Alexander the Great. I mean, who's going to talk about Alexander the Great in a near-death or a past life experience? I'll be amazed if someone comes out one day and ever talks about Alexander the Great. And I know I'm being a little bit provocative by saying that. But likewise, I would be very surprised if someone brought up Epona, or if someone brought up a past life living on the island where, I don't know, there's certain past lives where it's easy for me to turn into a bit of a comedian and start cracking some dark humor jokes about it, like Epona. Who's going to care about Epona in a past life where they talk about their relationship with a horse called Epona? We would know about Epona from the Legend of Zelda series. It's the horse in the Legend of Zelda. But hey, Epona's got a mythology to it. Epona back in the day in old ancient times, or, whatever. Like, you might encounter something from here or there in your own heavenly space. So I like to derive my knowledge of these things from different sources that I trust. I prefer to be open-minded, so I do not like to make this hypnosis too linear. So this is a bit of a long-winded introduction, but I prefer an intelligent introduction that gets you thinking, instead of an introduction that's very linear and this is what we're going to do, and one size fits all. I'm trying to set the tone here that one size does not fit all. And if you are, indigenous from somewhere, I happen to have Native American from up there up in eastern Canada, and then that connected me across to the Siberian nomads and 23andMe. So there. So it's like, yeah, so I like to wear my romanticism about my, nomadic connection over there to Siberia and Mongolia and Kazakhstan, the land of Borat, There's a lot of old Mongolian nomadic history in Kazakhstan. They have some very funny traditions over there, too. That's a bit of dark humor, pretty intense traditions over there. But anyway, we all love Borat, right? He's one of the coolest. Who can't, so anyway. I'm setting the tone here that this is an open-minded heaven-space hypnosis. So whether you come from this background or that background, this long-winded introduction is important. And I want to say why. The reason, hold on. Okay, I'm back. So this long-winded introduction is so important to what I'm talking about here because I am developing this resonant modality, where the important point here is not to have this absolutist mindset about what the heavenly space is going to be. The important goal is to try to imagine it, what you would have already guessed it might be like. Trust your guesswork from years past. Trust your guesswork, your thinking, and the idea is to play with the resonation of it. So being playful is very important, and trusting your intuition and your guesswork is very important. So the key is to get good with that, because these are the big fancy training wheels. Because if we never get good at this, we never get to work this out of the system. So if we never get good at working this out of the system, your pre-notions, your preconceptions, your ideas that are sitting with you in the back of your mind about what this place is, this heavenly space, you will never get to the real heavenly space. This veil of your pre-notions, your subconscious, is always going to be over you, and you're never going to get to experience the real thing if you never at least practice. You know, it's the idea of playing good music. You don't just suddenly play good music because you have a great instructor. You know, this was my problem with hypnosis, was I kept thinking, oh, it's all about, you know, a real hypnosis practitioner, someone who does a really good session. That's going to get me there. Well, it's more than just that, in my opinion. It's that you have to become a really good experiencer yourself. And by becoming a good experiencer, you start to really get places. So it's kind of like these mountain trail guides. So you want to be a great mountain trail guide, all right? Well, you're going to be taking people with you. Well, they also have to be exceptional at going up and following you if you're going to go on some really amazing trails. And if you're going to get amazing results in a past life hypnosis, or you're going to get amazing results in an NDE kind of near-death experience, God encounter, heavenly space visit, you need to accept the training wheels and accept that you're a novice at this and you've never done it before. This is my thinking. So also, you're going to experience it in a way that matches up with where you're coming from. There's a guy, there's a psychic, I like his work. It's Matt Frazier. Matt Frazier is a very talented psychic. I think he does some really great work. Now, of course, some people are going to challenge, well, he's a this and he's that. There's always going to be people who say, oh, you know, Tyler Henry, Matt Frazier, John Edward, they're all scams. There's always going to be those people. I think they need to probably just focus on those hypnosis-style sessions that are strictly cynical of anything extraordinary. And it's all about the ordinary. And they can feel comforted by anything and everything ordinary and filter out anything extraordinary. And that'll feel safe. You know, it's like those people saying it's crazy to ride a motorcycle. Yeah, they'd never ride one. It's too crazy. Likewise, they'd say, well, you're crazy if you want to go up on a big, dangerous mountain. And other people would say, well, that's what makes life so special, is going up on a big, crazy, dangerous mountain. So two sides of perspective. And of course, I'm on the side of trying to be extraordinary here. So to get there, we first got to accept the big, humble, special training wheels. So that's the introduction. And with that introduction, try to come to terms with how you've perceived God, the heavenly space, the paradise, the divine realm on the other side, where all the good that you've been living for, the good virtues, can be leveraged in your favor, leveraged in the favor of the universe, however you understand it. Try to envision it based on the way you have been envisioning it all along. So that's going to take a minute of reflection. Try to get a sense of a starting point there. So one of the things that troubled me with beginning a hypnosis session is feeling like I'm starting new and I don't have any reference point. I want the listener to have a reference point. I want you to have a reference point. Go and think about, you know, you can pause it or whatever, but think about how you look at the heavenly space and how you have been. And what that means is moments in time throughout your life that have been really the most positive, special places where you really like to be. You want to think about these times and places that feel heavenly to you effortlessly. It's your own forbidden heaven. Think of it that way. Embrace your sense of special that makes you different from everyone else. Embrace your sense of, oh, but I don't follow this religion, or but I don't do things as other people do, but I know I love this experience. I know in this time in my life I felt really special, that this was a really special experience. So you have to go to these times in your life when you felt really close to God, like God was on your side. You want to try to go to these points in time in your life that were very, very positive, the most positive. Now, from Elena Gabor and her book, Home at the Tree of Life, I learned that if you're dealing with big-time depression, if you're dealing with certain, negative life experiences, if you're dealing with negative life experiences that have been going on a long time, you will have a lot of trouble connecting with a positive heavenly space, possibly. And so in her book, what Elena Gabor did was she started to teach this client how to work with these positive affirmations that were so important. Another person who's really excellent with these positive affirmations is, I think she's amazing, is Soma Chaya. Soma Chaya, Chhaya. Soma Chaya. She does energy, manifesting, and super intense positivity. Actually, her work is great. I just think she's really a really cool person. Anyway, so if you have these negative affirmations about yourself that are overwhelming and intensive, you essentially are going to have trouble getting into this heavenly space. That's super intense positivity. You might even feel repulsed by it, like you don't belong near it, because you have learned that your identity is so mixed up with negativity. Or you feel very personally at peace when you're out there drinking or doing some kind of drug. Imagine if you're doing like a drug that gives you euphoria, you will associate the positivity with something that you're ashamed of, that you feel negatively about. And so that makes getting into the heavenly space a very problematic situation, because you're going to be mixing it up with something very guilty that you don't feel good about. In a case like that, you probably just want to focus on starting fresh. So accepting that for some people, this might be a very new and unknown kind of territory. But the key is by connecting with it, you're getting into a space of intense positivity, intense positive affirmation, being liberated against toxic guilt, toxic shame, toxic self-talks, toxic identity, toxic low self-esteem, all of this type of stuff, these types of qualities can be cleared out. You kind of exercising them from yourself. You want to kind of get that cleansing perspective on things. One thing you can do to challenge yourself is seek out blessed salt and blessed oil and a crucifix and a rosary, and you can just simply have it on your hand. I mean, you don't ever have to become a Catholic formally, but just by having items like that, you can develop a sense of a heavenly space, at least from that vantage point. It's a starting point. Now, alternatively, you could find someone who you really trust from any kind of spiritual background, even like a folk background, or let's say the Navajo Dinah, these people. You could find a really good medicine person who's a very positive thinker, who's a very gifted and trusted person, and you could seek to be able to walk with beauty. You want to be able to walk with beauty. That's a term from the Dinah people, the Navajo people. Walk with beauty. That's my cat making noise. So you want to be able to walk with beauty. And that resonates for me with getting into the heavenly space. So getting into the divine healing, the miraculous healing, the clearing of that negative thinking and perspective and sense of self that's keeping you stuck, right? And you might just be a little bit stuck. You might think it might just be something as simple as, I'm doing the college exams, I feel so down and everything's over my head and I'm depressed because it's too much, and you have ideas like this bugging you. And then a small problem turns into a giant problem because it's just one too many. He's just having a lot of fun. This cat is just having a lot of fun scratching on his post. He's my buddy. Hello. That's my cat saying hello. So you little problems can collect and become enormous problems, and then you're feeling very distant from the heavenly space. So you want to try to get a sense of the heavenly space that matches you the best. There's a great scene in Harry Potter where it's the Sorting Hat. And really, it's not a sin to be from Team Slytherin to Team Slytherin. If you are going to be in the Slytherin house or whatever, any of these different houses, it's not a problem. And I don't mean any subliminal messages by that language I just used. Clearly, I think J.K. Rowling was trying to play with the idea that Team Slytherin is essentially, the house of the Satanists or something. A little hint at that, maybe, because after all, there's a role for the evil one with that house. But technically, once again, you might happen to be a person who aligns with, for whatever reason, you might do, how about this, a background from Thailand or Shiva. I think Shiva is great. So you have the Shiva and a Thailand background. And what do they have in Thailand? They have cobra dancers. So my cat is just having a field day. He's just having so much fun. So the introduction is incredibly slow. I don't know, I know it's meant to be kind of fun and thoughtful here, but it's also trying to get to the hypnosis in a way that's meaningful and preparing the listener to approach it correctly. Which is, number one, you have to get a sense of how to trust what your heavenly space is. It can't be mixed up with things that are morbid. So if you have any thoughts in your mind about something that's nasty and morbid and crooked and things, I say crooked, I mean things that you should feel guilty about, you got moral problems. Obviously, that's not going to be the heavenly space. So get a sense of what the real heavenly space is going to be like, where you can get into a state of surrendering yourself to be better with the greater good. So that you're not representing something toxic, parasitic, harmful to others. Sorry. So that's a long-winded introduction. And now to the hypnosis. Hopefully this doesn't make too much noise as I'm trying to do this. Well, we're going to try to go to this heavenly space and try to get a sense of how this can feel and be experienced. So we're just gonna focus on getting into relaxation first. So you want to relax. You want to have a nice place to sit down, relax, and where it's comfortable. This cat is having so much fun. You want to have a nice place to relax, and then you want to. I'm gonna have to not. I can't do this with this cat doing it. Come on, buddy. Come here. You're making all that noise. I can't do this with you doing that. He just wants to play. Yes, he just wants to play. Come on out here. Come here, buddy. You're going to make so much noise, I won't be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do this if you're making so much. All right, I'm carrying him now. So, what an awful sacrifice. Ruining the cat's fun. Also that I can do this, that was my elbow. So, we're going to do some counting. 1. I feel like an idiot. Okay, so set your mind on that heavenly space that makes sense to you. It could be times and places, people, feelings that you've had, hope. Moments that felt really positive, so you want to get into that radical positivity, moments in time that brought that feeling to you. Try to be very up close and personal with that, and present with that. And we're going to just sort of amplify that energy and also get into that energetic side of things, so we're getting more comfortable with this Akashic etheric space. See, a number of people online will say, oh, well, the Akashic space, that's easy to get to. Yeah, it might be if you're just like flippant about it, and it's words in the wind. I mean, sure, but you can also get more in depth with it, and so this would be very helpful for that as well. So getting into that space, you want to try to get good at amplifying this, and this is the same space where one could say there's a part of the spirit journey, that when you're good spiritually, when you're good with your conscious energy, you can work with this. Now, if you were negative enough with your consciousness energy, you could assume you might not be going into any positive heavenly space, but you'd probably be thriving around some kind of murky space instead, so not good to think about that. You'd be one of those creeper consciousness, creeper spirits out there, ghouls, and scare the hell out of everyone. So, but for the good people who have good intentions, and the idea here is to amplify that heavenly space energy to improve the life, to improve one's life, to get better with oneself. You want to focus on this positivity, this radical positivity, open-mindedness, getting connected with these moments in time where you feel close to Source, something that feels, in your own sensibilities, holy, divine, healthy, cleansing, positive, getting into that heavenly space. So let's try and work on just relaxing and amplifying the heavenly space. And we'll just do some counting with that, amplifying, relaxing, and amplifying, and getting our breathing in the groove of relaxing and amplifying the heavenly space. So we're relaxing into the heavenly space by effortlessness, not making big efforts, and quieting the noisy thoughts. We're relaxing and getting that way into the heavenly space. 5, I'll count the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice the breathing improving and getting more aligned with the heavenly space, or the Akashic etheric space. Akashic and etheric mean the same thing, so just bring up that feeling of relaxing into the heavenly space. Notice your breathing improve and get more in alignment, attuned with the heavenly space, the Akashic space. And notice how breathing feels when you're relaxing into that space. Notice how when your relaxing improves, it starts to feel easier to amplify that heavenly space, to get into that heavenly space by relaxing into it, by just effortlessly getting to the heavenly space instead of letting noisy thoughts try to guide you there. The more you quiet the noisy thoughts, the more you relax the stress, the anxiety, the noisy feelings, the noisy emotions, the more you relax, the better your breathing, the easier it gets to get into this Akashic space, etheric space, heavenly space, and also amplify it. You want to amplify it, and so you want to amplify your awareness of it. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Amplify your connectivity with it. Amplify your perception and awareness of it. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And notice how that's improved and it's gotten better. And you're starting to feel the flow. And you want to try to let that divine light that they often talk about in those near-death experiences, Sounds a little intimidating, but you want to try to let that divine light connect with you. And there's going to be certain colors of that divine light that will resonate with you. So you want to see how that divine light resonates for you the most true. So you want to get a sense of that divine light, get connected with it, introduce yourself to it, feel it there, and feel how you connect with it. And be at peace connecting with it. And know that it's okay, you're safe, because you're being guided by me, and I'm a nice person. So you're good. Nothing to worry about. So you want to relax with that and keep your breathing good and get your breathing nice and relaxed. And you want to, as you know, however challenging this feeling of connecting with the light might be, you have to remember, let this be about relaxing into it. You have to get good at relaxing into it. So let yourself relax, improve your breathing. Nice breathing that feels good to you. It just feels really good. Like, when the temperature is just right, the breathing just feels good. You're relaxing into this Akashic, etheric, heavenly space where we start to be able to discern and experience through the light, with the light. And so let the light guide, let the light flow through you. Let it flow through you. Let it just flow through you. Let it, feel it in your body, feel it in your space. And try to see if there are certain colors that are resonating the best for you as it does. Try to feel for those colors that are resonating the best for you. Because those colors might speak to just what you resonate with the most. Qualities that feel like it speaks to who you are the most. It might be color combinations. So let that resonate through for you. It helps you understand something a little more about yourself and how you're connecting with everything around you. So improving our connectivity with the light, the divine light, the etheric light, the Akashic light, the heavenly light. 1. And improving breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Feeling breathing and relaxing getting easier because we're focusing our intention towards this, so this is getting easier. Feeling more introduced and more connected with the light, and any contrary thoughts, any cynical thoughts, any doubtful thoughts that this can be possible, washed away by the light. The light comes through and it cleanses, just like soap cleanses, and all of these, any little negative thoughts, noisy feelings, cleansed from the self by this light. This light is like wonderful hot water, warm water, and soap just cleansing the dirt off of the hands. This light just cleanses through the body, cleanses through the energetic space. And it's relatable. This light, notice how relatable this is. This light feels very familiar. It feels very relatable. It feels very good and comforting. This light is a good, comforting light. It's a flow of light energy, and it comes in colors that are deeply relatable. This is your distinctive and special connection with the universe and nature around you. Feel that light flowing through your space, and let it amplify, let it intensify, so that you can start to get more connected with this light, and you can feel more of it going through you. If you want to imagine the little negative noise flowing down your arms, down to your fingertips, and collecting around there until just leaving you. Same with your legs and your feet and your toes, feeling the little noisy negative thoughts flowing down to these places and out through the toes, gone. And as you're breathing in, now you're breathing in more of this wonderful light that's so relatable. You can even do a really deep breath if you want. As you breathe out, letting any of those little noisy feelings, noisy thoughts, negative, contrary, cynical, gone. Feeling more connected. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And if you want to, at this point, relax into the stillness and feel this divine, as though supernatural stillness, because there's flowing, but then there's also stillness. Notice the stillness and notice the peace. Notice the peacefulness in a new context of stillness. Notice the stillness and the oneness and the interconnectedness between you and nature, universe. Notice the stillness. Like when you look up at the stars and they always look kind of still. They twinkle a little bit, they glimmer, they shine, they flicker a little bit in the night sky, but they're quite still and you often won't have time to look at them for very long. So relax and feel connected and feel the stillness. And feel the flow of the light, but also feel the stillness. And what you want to do, we're going to improve our connectivity here with the Akashic space, the etheric space, the heavenly space, to the point where we're going to be able to start to find ourselves in a part of that space where we would hope to be able to go between a lifetime or after a life and before another life, possibly. When we go back to Source after our life, we would like to think that we can kind of get to a place like this, feel a feeling like this, be present with this. So let that light flow through, and also keep aware of the colors that are really resonating for you. Like when you hear music that just really touches your soul and it really just makes you feel filled with love, let's amplify that feeling of feeling filled with love from this light in a way that's very personal and distinctive to us. Like someone, your own individual way. No stereotypes. Obviously they say love is pink and whatever, but let's just find a way to connect with this color, and multiple colors even, in a way that connects, it feels deeply relatable, where the feeling of love becomes overflowing. Like when your heart is in your throat, but it's not because you're upset about something, it's because you're so overwhelmingly happy and rejoicing about something. It's like your heart is overflowing with happiness and positivity, that you're feeling this connectivity. Let's try to amplify that, and also getting aware of what kind of colors within the light we're seeing with that. And letting ourselves more completely get immersed, surrendered, relaxed. Breathing better and more relaxed into this divine light, this etheric light, this heavenly light, this Akashic light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice the energetic space getting lighter and lighter. Notice your entire energetic space feeling lighter and lighter. And also notice how the stillness and the motion feels different. Notice the colors that come through the most, resonate the most. It might be more simple or it might be more complex, but it's what resonates with you the most. And notice that feeling of love. We're going to be amplifying it a lot here. Where you, the feeling of belonging, that feeling of connectivity, we're going to be amplifying that a lot. And letting any feelings of guilty conscience or negative self-perception just continue to be dispersed increasingly. so that it's not holding us back anymore from this positivity, this radical positivity. 5, 4, and also feeling the cleansing sensations of this. Maybe there's a little sparkly sensation of cleansing. For some, like myself, maybe some of that, like a blessed salt exercise, like you're exercising that negative energy from yourself. You're feeling that cleansing sparkle of energy, and how good that feels. 3, 2, 1, 0. As we do that, let's increase our awareness of respect for how we've known this space over the years. Days, nights, years, dreams. Let's acknowledge that, how we've experienced this space in times past. Moments in time where we felt close to this space. Moments in time where we felt like this is a feeling we could relate to. Moments in time where we wished we could have had a lot more of this than we had. Moments in time where there was hope for this. There was a desire for this. Let's amplify this Akashic space, this etheric space, this heavenly space. Let's amplify this space and get a greater sense of what we can connect with in this space. What kinds of characters are coming through to us here. If we've had people who've betrayed us, who we once so deeply trusted, imagine an angelic version of this person out there, close to source, an angelic version of this character that keeps close to source, that had an influence on this character, that made them who they were to us. Imagine that. So I'll say it again, if there was a person in your life who betrayed you, who you felt betrayed by, or who broke your heart, that kind of thing, and when they were good to you, before they betrayed you, or in their good moments when they were good, imagine there was an influence out there that was more angelic in the Akashic etheric space. There was a good influence on them that they weren't connecting to enough. And that good influence remained good with Source, good with God, good with light, good with the Akashic etheric space. But the person they knew, who they felt betrayed, or the person you knew who you felt betrayed by, was not listening enough to that angelic guidance. They weren't listening enough. And it was that angelic guidance that was giving them all that goodness to begin with. So let go of the deeper critic here. Let go of the deeper critic here. Because it's important to connect with these radical positivity energies here. This is what we're trying to get into. And when there's traumas, and when there's heartbreak, and when there's different challenges like this, it keeps the consciousness locked. The consciousness remains locked and unable to get into this space of radical positivity. So we're going to unlock the consciousness. We're going to feel connected to these moments in time that we felt were shut off from us because of some trauma, some betrayal. And we're going to reconnect, but this time we're going to connect with the angelic and the source. We're not going to connect with that person, whoever it was that hurt us, but we're going to connect with that higher angelic source that was helping us in those positive moments. And we're going to amplify that positivity. We're going to amplify that connectivity. And we're going to let the divine, the Akashic, the etheric, the heavenly light intensify in its flow. And we're going to, as the same with the negative, cynical thoughts, noisy feelings, we're going to feel that flowing out through down the arms, wherever those noisy thoughts are, from the head, down through the arms, down through the chest, down through the legs, down through the hands, down through the fingertips, down through the legs, down through the feet, down through the toes. This light just flowing down through these areas, intensifying, and releasing those intense, deep, critical feelings and programmings, traumas from betrayal, from hurt, from negativity, from the negative, from the negative space that created we became locked off from this radical positivity space where we felt deeply hurt by something. So we're going to let those critical feelings of hurt flow through the body, the divine light, the etheric light, the Akashic light, heavenly light flowing down, letting those negative feelings be removed, let those negative thoughts be removed, and notice where in the body there's any possible sensations, if any. As this happens, we're going to amplify and relax into this and breathe with better breathing into this. We're going to improve our breathing into this, releasing of these deep, critical, deep negative, deep hurt kinds of thoughts and feelings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Be aware of the Akashic, Etheric, heavenly light. Be aware of that, and the colors, how it feels, feeling the intensification of it. Be aware of the sensations in the body. If you're feeling anxious, nervous, that could be a good sign. It means you're embracing what's happening. But also try to relax more. And don't let those nervous or anxious feelings get in the way. Just surrender those up to the Akashic, Etheric, heavenly light that is going to flow through the body and release anything that's holding anything troublesome. Any troublesome blocks. Releasing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Zero. And relaxing. And in the Akashic space, there's all kinds of stories you're going to hear about the Akashic this and the Akashic that, but the importance is to try to have an authentic experience where you can get an authentic sense of feeling and perception. So as you are here now, let's let any authentic sensations, feelings, perceptions, awareness come through. And what kind of thoughts, feelings, emotions come to mind? It can actually be anything. And you can just set your general intention on the etheric, Akashic, heavenly light and notice the colors. It's almost like aura colors of this light that match what you're feeling. Try to be intuitive, fun, playful, creative. Match the colors with what you're feeling. And focus on that as you open up your mind and your heart to perceiving, feeling any source messages, or any source awareness, any source knowledge, any Akashic, etheric, heavenly knowledge that you can get a sense of as you're focusing on the light and you're focusing on the colors and the flow of this going down through your energetic space and also cleansing. And you're just relaxing in this light and just enjoying it like you're not unlike, so it's nice place to be relaxing. We'll just leave it at that. But wonderful. You want to feel this light, focus on this light and this Akashic, heavenly, etheric light, and color combos of any kind, and sensations in the body, perceptions of thoughts, of the imagination, whatever you're perceiving, feeling, thinking about, when all the noisy thoughts and the negative thoughts are just continuing to be flowing out. You're not letting those be any kind of guidance. So we're going to amplify this preparedness to experience the Akashic, etheric, heavenly space, and capability to experience the Akashic, etheric, heavenly space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continuing to focus the intention on releasing any deep critical, deep hurt, deep trauma, deep betrayal, deep negative imprinted perceptions, releasing those, feeling those moving down from the head, down through the arms, down through the hands, and through the fingertips, down through the legs, down through the feet, down through the toes, and out with the breath. Every time breathing in that, or that divine, that etheric, Akashic, heavenly light. And when you're breathing out, releasing any deep critical feelings, deep trauma-based feelings and thoughts, releasing those. Becoming increasingly aware of any light color combos in the light, sensations, intensification of the light. Being aware of that and being aware of any awareness, perceptions, feelings can come in all sorts of perceptions and feelings about this Akashic space, heavenly space, etheric space. Very distinguished to you. So it doesn't have to, you have to remember not to expect for me to be telling you how to experience it. You're going to discover it in a way that's distinctive and individually most authentic for you based on where you're coming from. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And releasing any troublesome programming of thoughts about expectations like, cynical thoughts about the Akashic Records, cynical thoughts about angels and God, a bunch of a bunch of any thoughts of disbelief. And, when you think of an angel, you think of some silly stuff with big giant bird wings on a human being. It just doesn't add up, right? Well, you want to, again, or the Akashic Records, for me personally, it's like you want to be able to get into this perspective of authenticity and really experience the Akashic, etheric, heavenly space. So of course, you're going to experience it in a way that makes sense to you, and I guess I kind of dropped a hint there that I'm a little critical of the portrayals of angels with big feathered wings. But however, if that's where your peace of mind is, that's where your peace of mind is. If you really feel it's authentic and you're not just seeing this as all bunch of nonsense. All right, okay, good. So looking for the authentic perception and improving that authenticity and releasing any kind of critical thoughts or cynical thoughts, doubtful thoughts that are getting in the way. And also programming. This is more than just being a believer. This is getting rid of programming and ideas that might not be really authentic enough. If you've just been hearing, if you hear the same lie enough, you start to believe it's true. So we're going to be releasing dishonest programming and experience a really authentic sense of this space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this applies to angels too, these ascendant entities and so on. There's even orders of the angels, like the seraphim and the cherubim, and so on. And then there's the archangels and so on. There's different orders of the angels. But if you want to look at it that way, another way to look at it would be simply ascendant saintly spirits or something. There's all kinds of ways to perceive this space. Once again, it's going to be distinguished based on where you're coming from and your deepest sense of authenticity. So don't trust what I'm saying over trusting your own feeling. I'm just guiding you to help you perceive what your authenticity is guiding you to better. I'm trying to improve it, enhance that for the listener. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. It's authenticity we're looking for. So let's enhance that authenticity in this space. Releasing toxic, critical, disempowering, dishonest, programmed thinking and thoughts. Accepting to be humble and yet to be authentic. And to improve clarity about this space in the days ahead and the nights ahead as well, after this hypnosis concludes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keeping focused on the divine light, the heavenly light, the etheric light, the Akashic light, and the color combos that, as you would notice, and also feeling the sensations of it flowing through the self, and also being aware of the stillness, as though supernatural divine stillness, and feeling connected with everything. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Feeling breathing improving, relaxing improving. For any other messages coming through or any more awareness coming through, angels are experienced in all kinds of ways. Guiding light, source messages can come through in all kinds of ways. Spirit guides, trusted, guardian angels, all these types of characters can come through in all kinds of ways. It just depends on where you're coming from, is how you experience it. Let's enhance and allow for any other messages and divine connectivity and improving breathing and the natural flow with this etheric, Akashic, heavenly light, and being increasingly aware of the colors that resonate the most. And also just surrendering to the gifts and the divine qualities of this light, and also miraculous breakthroughs, healing, improved guidance, connectivity with Source, returning to a state of trust harmony, happiness, connectivity, enhancing that and enhancing clarity for that in the days ahead and the days and nights ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0. And now we're going to come back around to being present with ourselves again. We're going to let that divine, Akashic, Etheric, heavenly light guide us right on back to be fully present with where we are, where we're sitting, where we're lying down, wherever we're at listening, being fully present again to comfortably relaxed, or to conclude. We're going to come back and be present again, letting the light bring us back and focus on the stars still in the sky. Be aware of that. Even when the sky turns blue, you can still know that the stars are still behind the blue of the sky when it's nighttime, and they're still there in the daytime, you just can't see them. So we're just coming back to be present again, to where we are, so we can trust, we can connect with this again, even though we're going to be back to being present again. That's where I got that blue sky, stars play on words there. Even though we're coming back to be present again, we'll just improve our awareness of this Akashic, Etheric, heavenly space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relaxing, surrendering, flowing back to be fully present with ourselves. 0. And that was my Akashic, Etheric, heavenly space visit. This was inspired by the theme of Elena Gabor and her intensive work on the importance of the life between, or life after life, life between, life after, between lives, life between. I think there's different terms for it, but it's all about the journey of the spirit beyond lives, beyond a lifetime, between lives. It's inspired by that, and also her approach doesn't really double down on the Akashic Records. It's more about just simply embracing people's experiences. And I was trying to get an authentic sense of this, and I felt that the Akashic Records were onto something. But another problem I kept running into with the Akashic Records is you're getting all these kinds of descriptions of how it's like it's a library and there's books in there and stuff. The records, like the record keeper, and so-and-so the record keeper came and showed me something. And it ends up being too fictitious for me to handle or comprehend, and it doesn't feel authentic enough, and then I'm having trouble with it. Of course, for everyone it's going to be different, so I don't mean to step on anyone's toes by saying that. But for me personally, authenticity has to come first. So I had to discover this in a way that, Elena Gabor does teach that the Akashic translates into the Etheric. She does teach about that, but she doesn't go intensive on talking about the Akashic Records. No, definitely not. It's more about the authentic experiences that people are having, and she approaches it as she does. Then of course I want to bring my own special something to the two hypnosis. So this is what I got. This was a very fun hypnosis. I actually liked this one very much. If you've enjoyed, like, subscribe, hype. Later.